Yeah, it seems like a lot of the old crap is coming back. I'm not entirely sure why, if it's just skepticism from all the COVID crap and people are now questioning everything else again. But there's stuff that's just all been debunked before that I'm having to deal with again. Aspartame is coming back up. I've talked about this before, and there's this new Reason magazine article on it, Reason.com, from Guy Bentley. Diet Coke isn't going to give you cancer. It's going to taste horrible because it's the most nasty tasting substance in the world. Diet Pepsi is much better. But anyway. Yeah, they're all taking their cues from IARC. We've talked about them before, that arm of the WHO that it's been tied onto a lot of ambulance chasers wanting to, bring suits against the Coke and people like that with the deep pockets. I think it's telling that for a while, Pepsi went away from aspartame and started putting sucralose in their sodas. And the customers were like, no, we don't like that. Go back to aspartame. So, all right, we'll get into this. It says aspartame is one of the most widely used artificial sweeteners found in Diet Coke, sugar-free ice cream, cereals, yogurts. According to a new report by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, a body of the World Health Organization, aspartame could possibly also be a hazard for cancer. Now, one thing he doesn't do in this article is tell you what aspartame actually is. And I think that is the easiest way to debunk it. If you just understand what it is, then you know logically that it doesn't make any sense that this would be any kind of dangerous substance. Aspartame is aspartic acid and phenylalanine. Those are amino acids, and they're 2 of the 23 building blocks of proteins. So your body uses them all the time to make proteins. They're used in your cells right now. Your body needs them. And although aspartic acid can be synthesized by the body, although there's absolutely nothing wrong with you getting it in your diet, phenylalanine is an essential amino acid. Your body cannot synthesize it. You need it in your diet. So, some foods with aspartic acid include, they all include it, but to a particular degree, there's oysters, various meat, and that includes wild game, oats, avocados, asparagus, lots of other places. And phenylalanine, again, that's also everywhere because it's part of a protein, but it's in particular in milk, eggs, chicken, liver, shrimp, soybeans, tofu, spinach, kale. Most of your green leafy vegetables have it. So, you get both of these regularly in your diet, and if you didn't, you would starve to death. So yeah, that is pretty much that as far as I'm concerned. If you're a reasonable person, I think that's all you need to say, yeah, this is a big nothing burger, but he goes on to say the IARC placed aspartame in group 2B, meaning there's weak evidence and they can't say for sure whether there is in fact any cancer hazard. They also put pickled vegetables and aloe vera in group 2B. And we've talked about these categories before, about how, low risk or high risk or whatever. There is a group 4, which says there's no evidence that it causes cancer. There's only ever been one group 4 chemical put in group 4 as being non-carcinogenic. That was caprolactam, and that's one of the ingredients they used to make nylon, but they took it out. So as of right now, there's nothing categorized in group 4. According to IARC, every substance in the universe causes cancer in humans. So what are you going to do? You going to ban everything? How's that going to work? And he points out an important thing. IARC examines cancer hazards even if they're extremely unlikely. It doesn't examine risk, which is what truly matters to consumers when making their everyday choices. It doesn't tell you anything you need to know. It's good for lawyers. I'm not sure who it's good for otherwise. Hang on a second, I gotta edit. Okay, I'm back. So, let's see, where was I? Determinations about the actual level of risk faced by consumers are made by the WHO's Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives, or JECFA. So the JECFA also has its report on aspartame, examining all the evidence on the risk, not just cancer-related ones. The JECFA concluded there was no reason to change its stance on what counts as an acceptable daily intake at 40 milligrams per kilogram. So if you want to know what that is, consider basically a 200-pound male. That would translate to 3,588 milligrams of aspartame, or around 18 diet sodas a day, far more than anyone ever drinks. And these guidelines are also significantly below any dosage linked to possible harm in animal studies. And I'm not sure what JECFA does, but usually when they set these levels, they make them either a 10th or a 100th of the of the lowest level known to cause any harm. The Food and Drug Administration, no, check the channel for them, infamous for its caution and risk aversion, anything, even slightly anything, oh no, let's ban it. But they approved aspartame in 1972, and it continues to say that aspartame, it's safe. It actually sets the intake at slightly higher than JECFA's at 50 milligrams per kilogram. The FDA is unhappy with how the WHO has gone about its review of aspartame, writing to the body last year that a dual review released by two different bodies taking two different approaches could cause public confusion. And they say, quote, "In our opinion, JECFA is better suited to assess any risk associated with the consumption of aspartame because it considers all relevant toxicological endpoints, including carcinogenicity." So, given the FDA's record on public health communications over the last few years, the agency is throwing stones from glass houses, but the point is sound. Yeah, if even the FDA is saying this. Yeah, so the FDA reviewed it, found no reason to change its position. And the FDA says, aspartame being labeled by the IARC as possibly carcinogenic to humans does not mean that aspartame is actually linked to cancer. The IARC came to its conclusion mainly because of observational studies suggesting a link between aspartame and liver cancer. While observational studies can prove helpful in identifying correlations, they cannot determine causation. It's actually not strictly true. They can be used to determine causation, but you have to do it right. There has to be kind of a perfect storm of things, and you need other supporting evidence as well. So you can do it, but it's extremely difficult. It can only be done in certain situations, and it's not done in this situation, so. They often have selection biases in terms of the participants. Oh boy, are they subject to selection bias. Both the FDA and JECFA had access to the same data as IARC, but decided the evidence was too weak to change their stances on aspartame. So David Spiegelhalter, statistics professor at the University of Cambridge, said, "These IARC reports are getting a bit farcical," as we've been saying for years here on this channel. In spite of IARC's conclusion that aspartame was possibly carcinogenic to humans, which got lots of media attention, another expert committee, JECFA, that actually investigates the magnitude of any risk, found no convincing evidence from experimental animal or human data that aspartame has adverse effects. And like I said in the root beer video, just because it causes cancer in rats doesn't mean it causes cancer in humans. In that case, the ingredient was safrole. Safrole causes cancer in rats because of a metabolic pathway that humans don't have. In humans, there's a metabolic pathway that ordinarily results in a carcinogen, but safrole actually changes that so the result is non-carcinogenic, so it might actually be a cancer preventative. So, but they banned it anyway to save us from cancer. They banned a substance that might prevent cancer. So, yeah, that's how these people are. Aspartame is claimed to be the most studied food additive on Earth. While further research on the food and drink we consume is always welcome, it can't be ignored that the IARC's pronouncements frequently confuse the public and can provide fodder for opportunistic lawyers and politicians to present themselves as guardians of public health by attacking products that are, for all intents and purposes, safe. Drink your Diet Coke without fear. Or your Diet Pepsi because it tastes better. Yeah. I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, I really think you could have stopped earlier when I just told you what it was, when I told you what the two ingredients are. They have no... Where's the mechanism? What mechanism do they have for aspartame leading to cancer? What kind of metabolic pathway is there that would lead to that? No one seems to be able to say what it is. And given that they are 2 amino acids that are the building blocks of every protein in your body, yeah, I don't get it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what substance you think I can do next, because there's a lot of them they're talking about now. Oh, this is horrible. They're putting this in the food and it causes cancer, and it's been debunked decades ago. So if there's any that you want me to do like that, let them know. And also, comments help get us past the algorithms, the shadow banning, because you see videos like this. Oh, aspartame. Oh, Diet Coke will kill you. Oh, it's cancer, all that. And you don't really see that many debunking it. It's not because the videos aren't out there. They're out there. But the more we make these videos, the more we share these videos, the more we comment on these videos, and the more we subscribe to the channels that make the videos, the more it can get past that shadow banning that's clearly going on. And of course, the one thing shadow banning can't stop is you sharing the video yourself. So that's much appreciated as well. Also, when you subscribe, make sure you click the bell, because otherwise they might not show you all of the subscriptions. So please do that. Hit like, subscribe, the bell, comment, and share. And also, please go to donate.bogosity.tv. Helps keep me doing what I do, and all sorts of ways to donate. PayPal, crypto, all sorts of crypto. Even with all the crap that's been going on lately with crypto, crypto is still really good. I can use it. Don't worry. And also, you can become a supporter at Patreon and Subscribestar. Get these videos early and ad-free. Thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, stay strong and be free.